The Biggest Loser is worse than you thought.
Take your sorry ass out of my gym!
I'm not trying to quit. I'm not
Well, then
trying
do
to quit.
it, Joelle! I'm sick of just words. Talk. Shut the up.
Every time you want to quit, think about your father who's about to drop dead on the treadmill. Go!
This is like when Gary Vee told people that he is able to work so much because he imagines while he's in the shower that his wife and children are being held at gunpoint or brutally murdered in front of him, and that gives him motivation to continue this grindset mindset. Absolutely insane to use death to motivate people unless it's like, oh, my father passed away from heart disease, I don't want that. Rather, it's like, I'm gonna kill this guy unless you lose weight.
From video games to boot camp spin-offs, The Biggest Loser was once everywhere. But behind the ratings, critics were sounding alarms, with one doctor even saying it was miraculous no one had died yet. The core show consisted of obese contestants competing to lose the most weight for a chance to win $250,000.
That wasn't exactly the core show, though. The core show was making fun of obese people, essentially, and putting them through horrible situations that would cause them to break down so you'd get some big emotional reality TV show moment. If the core show was them losing weight, well, then it would have just been about them doing like high-intensity interval training and lifting weights for an hour or two per day and then eating healthy on the side, and that would be it. It would be the most boring show ever. The core of the show was these emotional breakdowns people wanted to see.
But most regained the weight almost immediately. On the surface, the goal was weight loss.
You're the biggest loser, Roberto!
But many saw a cruel irony in the title.
The show was, at inception, meant to embarrass people that were overweight.
Behind the transformations were questionable workouts that landed contestants in hospitals, controversial weight loss methods, and a deeply flawed core premise.
What are you thinking right now? You thinking, what the have I done? Aren't you, Shay? Shay, get the up!
Many fitness professionals despise the show, not just for its effect on contestants, but also the viewers. It highlighted everything wrong with 2000s diet culture, which is why the show's downfall was almost poetic in hindsight.
I would bet if you did a study that The Biggest Loser would have done far more harm than good. I think people watching it who are overweight and have never really worked out then associate working out with the things they see on the show, with people like crying, throwing up, sobbing, working out 8 hours a day, and just being generally miserable people. I almost guarantee you it did more harm for people's general health than it did any good.
The Biggest Loser launched in 2004, inspired by an ad from an obese man pleading for a trainer to save his life. But instead of psychologists or long-term support, the show leaned on two trainers with no background in obesity medicine and a heavy dose of spectacle.
We had no idea what we were doing. It was all theoretical.
From the start, the show was built on shaky ground, and the consequences came fast.
It's week 1, season 1. And we're like, okay, I guess we're just gonna beat the out of these guys and see what happens.
I don't care if you both die on this floor. You better die looking good.
The exercise regimens on The Biggest Loser were brutal. Contestants were pushed for up to 8 hours of workouts a day under what was basically military-style supervision.
I'm gonna break your legs and beat you with them. Now get up.
It was so intense.
What does working out have to do with threatening their lives? They've done it 4 times in this video and we're 2.5 minutes in.
Contestants cried, hyperventilated, and vomited. Instead of treating this as a warning sign, the trainers actually celebrated it.
I don't know if Greg's proud of vomiting or not, but I'm proud that I made him vomit. And
I don't know if they celebrated it so much. I feel like the producers celebrated it because they knew it would make good dramatic television if they were to get these crazy moments captured on camera that could go viral on early 2000s YouTube or across other network reality TV shows. It was all about the spectacle and the money that came from it.
that's all that matters.
The underlying message was clear. If you weren't collapsing, you weren't trying. So of course, it led to many unnecessary injuries. Tracy Hukic experienced rhabdomyolysis during a beach run. This is where your muscle fibers break apart from overuse.
Squeeze, Tracy, squeeze. He's not responding.
Her organs began shutting down, and she almost died in hospital. One contestant claimed, "I bled through my shoes in the first 3 weeks. Nearly every person on my season had injuries because joint damage and stress fractures were not on."
Also, what is this? How is this creating any kind of a better exercise? Putting all that pressure on the lower back is absolutely horrible for you. This is not a natural position your body would ever hold.
Common from the high intensity exercise. And when the contestants would fall over, an earthquake effect was often added to make it seem like their impact was causing seismic activity.
Man, you didn't have to do them dirty like that. The show was already designed around the look how horrible these people's lives are and haha funny fat person. There was no need to do them that dirty and add earthquake sound effects when they collapsed.
Much of the training was enforced, with a mix of drill sergeants screaming.
What's the weakest link on this team? Everyone answer the question.
Laura.
Tell the truth.
Laura. Laura.
Okay. You have the ability to shut up and focus.
And then sudden empathy.
You are capable, and you are strong, and you are a really good person.
Jillian Michaels was infamous for this.
It's fun watching other people suffer like that.
A lot of their methods were controversial and called out by personal trainers, watching on in shock.
Everyone goes for 30 seconds. You don't come off for 30 seconds, okay? That's all I'm asking.
I get the appeal of tough love, and I like to think these trainers did have good intentions.
This isn't tough love. This is just like cruelty. Screaming at people who are literally passing out and in some instances almost dying right in front of you is not tough love. That's just tough.
The extra push, evidently, is great for some people, and it can work well. But for others, like morbidly obese people, it does nothing more than put them off of fitness and increase the risk of unnecessary injury.
My back hurts. Guess what else is gonna hurt?
It might be worth considering whether this is appropriate for people who are brand new to exercise.
It can definitely go too far.
If you don't run, I will pull Alex on the floor and I will break every bone in his body.
Again, with the threatening their lives. What is happening? Did the producers feed them those lines? They had to have fed them those lines.
For the public, the show glorified pain over progress, teaching that fitness had to be brutal to be effective.
Yes!
This is crazy dangerous. There's no world in which someone who is drenched in sweat like he is and weighs as much as he does should be doing this. Look, he slips right here and all of that weight, 250, 300 pounds, lands right on his head.
In reality,
no, this is a terrible. This is like pictures moments before disaster material right here.
Sustainable exercise is built on consistency, not unhealthy extremes. It's not surprising that a 2012 study in obesity found that watching The Biggest Loser made viewers associate exercise with pain and exhaustion.
Well, yeah, that's all they see. I associate war with people dying because that's all I've ever seen depicted in media and popular culture. So, of course, if all you ever see depicted as far as what healthiness means is The Biggest Loser, then you're gonna assume that being healthy looks like this, and it just doesn't.
Leaving them less motivated to try realistic activity. I wonder why.
I don't care if your neck breaks in half.
But if the workouts were punishing...
Is someone counting? Is that 6 times that Jillian has threatened someone's life? That's crazy.
Dieting was outright dangerous.
Having a prize of $250,000 to lose weight puts pressure on people to do things that might not be good for their health.
Contestants were eating as little as 800 calories a day. Doctors warned them it wasn't safe, but the only goal was rapid weight loss. So off camera, many resorted to desperate measures just to stay in the game. Season 3 finalist Kai Hibbard said she spent the days before the final living on sugar-free jello and asparagus, layered up in a sauna to sweat out water weight. By the final weigh-in, she was severely dehydrated, but she was just one of many contestants who admitted to the same tricks. Some even swished water in their mouths just to spit it out, desperate to shave off a few extra ounces.
That is crazy. That is like professional MMA fighters or boxers trying to reach weight kinds of tactics. But in those instances, it's different because they're guaranteed to make a few $100,000 to a few $1 million per fight. So it's less of an issue for them because they're making so much money. The Biggest Loser, you weren't guaranteed anything except to like look bad on television and have your life threatened by Jillian Michaels.
Season 1 winner, Ryan Benson, confessed he had fasted and dehydrated himself so severely that he was urinating blood. Years later...
Isn't that a sign of kidney damage? He starved himself and dehydrated himself so hard to try and win this show that he gave himself kidney damage? How did nobody look at this and think, this is problematic?
Season 15 winner, Rachel Fredrickson, shocked viewers when she stepped on the scale, just 105 pounds.
She lost like 60% of her body weight.
She had lost 155 pounds.
That is crazy. And look, I mean, first of all, good on her for losing that weight. That's good. If you're overweight and it's impacting your health, you and your doctor should come up with a plan for you to lose weight. That's great. She does not look healthy in this. Look at the bone structure in her face and how almost emaciated she looks at 105 pounds. I bet we can look up how tall she is and then see how much she should weigh. Okay, so she's 5'5", it looks like. And here, a healthy weight for 5'5" female is 113 to 138. So she's not super underweight, but the lowest is 113, and she's even below that. Plus, considering that all she did was worked out, so she's got a ton of muscle, meaning she probably is severely underweight for how much body fat she should have, and probably she's really unhealthy. And it's weird to think that she would win The Biggest Loser and be possibly just as unhealthy as she was before she went on the show.
Around 60% of her body weight in only a few months. Even Jillian Michaels admitted this one was a bit too far, later quitting the show.
Oh, this one's too far. The threatening to kill people and the one girl almost dying on the beach wasn't too far, but this is too far.
Saying she was deeply concerned their health was being sacrificed for spectacle. But spectacle was the core premise of the show. Each week, contestants stripped.
Okay, I know I'm pausing it a lot, but Jillian Michaels saying that health was being sacrificed for spectacle and that she was like opposed to it and quit the show because of it. Yeah, it's all well and good for you to say that after you've made millions of dollars off of it, when you're starting to get backlash years later as people look back and realize how horrible it was. Taking the moral high ground means almost nothing if you've gotten rich off of the moral low ground that you were on before. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg retired from Facebook and then talked about how horrible social media is for kids and how he's trying to go back on it and change it all. You'd probably be like, okay, that's easy for you to say. You've already made your millions and billions of dollars off of social media. It doesn't matter what you say now. You already caused all the harm. That hasn't changed. Same thing for Jillian Michaels. It's easy for her while she's rich to say how terrible it was, but at the time she didn't seem too chuffed about it because she was making so much money and was so famous.
Off and stepped on a giant scale as a drum roll played. If the number wasn't high enough, the shame was visible.
Wow. I don't really know what to say. Sorry that I didn't get as much as you wanted. I see your face, see you disappointed.
Losing only 3 or 4 pounds often resulted in humiliation, all despite the fact that any trainer with an ounce of experience knows that weight loss will naturally fluctuate. It's never just a straight line.
I'm sorry, Red Team. I worked my butt off.
Then there were the challenges.
3 or 4 pounds in a single week if you're trying to lose weight is actually really good. Arguably too much, because if you extrapolate that out, that's 12 or 16 pounds in a month, which is a lot of weight to lose. This set such unrealistic expectations for how much weight you should be losing if you are overweight.
In one, contestants were surrounded by mountains of food. The person who ate the most got a chance to see their family. In a different challenge, contestants were made to ferry piles of junk food with their mouths from one place to another.
So it's literally just a humiliation ritual to try and get ratings on ABC. That's crazy. These are just zoo animals that people are pointing and laughing at for entertainment.
For the audience's amusement. It looked a lot like humiliation, rebranded as motivation to many, which is why fitness writer James Fell described Jillian Michaels as a concern troll, someone who feigns concern over health as a cover for shaming people about their weight. At the very least, the show prioritized spectacle over the contestants' health at times.
Extreme weight loss goals can push people to extreme behaviors, so we shouldn't be surprised that some
former contestants are now claiming they were encouraged to use drugs to drop the pound.
There was a time that I was offered caffeine. They were called stackers.
Stackers contained a mix of caffeine and ephedra, a now banned stimulant, after it contributed to heart attacks and deaths. As one dietitian put it bluntly, the show doesn't support healthy behavior change. It rewards desperation and unhealthy extremes. This would become especially apparent in 2016.
News from the world of weight loss. Scientists followed contestants from the TV show The Biggest Loser, and they found that when the cameras went off, the weight often came back on.
I think it's pretty easy to guess that the weight does come back on once you're no longer on the show, because 1, you're not having a chef cooking all your meals, 2, you're not working for 8 hours a day anymore, and 3, you have to go back to your normal life, and you have built no good habits in the time you were on Biggest Loser. It's easy to lose weight when you have no access to bad things and only access to exercise and healthy food. I would bet you that 100% of the contestants on the show gained all the weight back.
A 2016 study followed 14 contestants for 6 years after season 8 and found a shocking pattern. By the 6-year mark, 13 out of 14 had regained substantial weight.
That sounds
5
about right.
contestants were even heavier than before they went on TV.
Yeah, because once you're off the show, you have no continuing support. You still have to go back to your office job. You don't have a gym membership. You have to go back to your normal family life. Like, nothing has actually changed in your habits and psychology. You've only just been tortured for the entertainment of the United States for the past few months.
On average, participants had regained over 90% of their lost weight. Essentially, after all the suffering, they were almost back to where they first started. Season 8 winner Danny Cahill, who had lost an enormous 239 pounds, regained about 100 pounds in the years after, while Season 1 winner Ryan Benson admitted that by 2017, 13 years after his victory, he actually weighed more than when he first auditioned.
Dina Mercado was also part of the study. She was 248 pounds before the show, down to 173.5 pounds at the end, and now back to 206 pounds.
Naturally, people wanted to know what was going on, so news sites rushed to cover the story.
According to the study, while the contestants all had normal metabolisms for their size at the start of filming, years after it was over, their metabolisms continued to slow down.
The press presented it as their slower metabolisms are what caused the weight regain. But if you listen to one of the original researchers, it's a completely different story.
No one reported it right. They were saying, oh, it's the slowing of metabolism that caused them to regain the weight. We saw no correlation between those two things.
But I feel like the slowing of metabolism should have something to do with it, right? Because if you are yo-yoing your diet that much and eating that little food and then coupling it with challenges where you have to eat a huge amount of food, wouldn't that damage your metabolism? Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about this stuff. But to me, it feels like if you do that to your body, then it would actually have a negative long-term impact on your metabolism.
The contestants who kept the most weight off had the greatest slowing of metabolisms. Having a bigger appetite and a slower metabolism can absolutely make weight maintenance more difficult. But the greatest factor behind the weight regain was likely everyone returning to their old habits. The show conditioned contestants to see diet and exercise as punishment.
This is how uncomfortable I want you to be every single day.
When the camera stopped rolling and the support vanished, many returned back to where they first started.
I just slipped back into my old habits really quick within the next year or two, and within about 4 or 5 years, I'd put back on all the weight.
And they call them old habits, but it's not even like they ever formed any new habits. It's not like old habits and new habits. It's just the habits that you've always had. You just briefly didn't have access to the habits, and now, of course, you're back. It's the same thing for why rehab relapses are pretty common. Like, once you get out, it's a lot easier to get back into drugs because, of course, in rehab, you didn't have access to drugs. You haven't established anything new to actually help you deal with the problems that you had. You're just put back into the world where you have access to your old habits.
You seem more focused on entertaining viewers than helping contestants form lasting habits. Frustratingly, stories like this are often twisted as proof that diet and exercise don't work, or that obesity is an out-of-control problem. In reality, it was the Biggest Loser's extreme methods that encouraged contestants to fail. Fortunately, the world was slowly catching on.
The Biggest Loser is a big ratings winner. The show has actually brought in an estimated $100 million in just the last year.
And that's what I'm talking about with Jillian Michaels. Like, it's all well and good for her to say, oh, I left the show because spectacle was being prioritized over health. But you've made your $100 million or whatever percentage of that she gets. So, of course, it's easy for you to leave the show. You're rich. You can look back as people are getting upset about it and say, ah, well, I was opposed to this the whole time. But in reality, you were fine with it. And then once you're rich and famous, then you can be not okay with it.
The Biggest Loser grew to be more than a TV show. It became a global franchise. Australia, India, Germany, and the UK all launched their own versions. There were cookbooks, boot camps, online programs, and merchandise. It was a money-making machine, but reality was slowly catching up with reality TV. Multiple contestants returned home with eating disorders, and there was supposedly no real aftercare or support.
I'm surprised that any contestants didn't come home without eating disorders. If you're only eating 800 calories a day, coupled with like the occasional yo-yo of tens of thousands in a day, then of course you're going to come back with eating disorders. Who wouldn't?
Despite the show attempting deep emotional work without anyone actually qualified to do it.
I would add a therapist in. There would be no eliminations. I'm fine with them quitting. People quit in real life. They shouldn't be losing money for weight. That's fundamentally a catastrophe.
A catastrophe that you were both okay with and encouraging for like the 17 seasons that the show ran, until suddenly once you were done making your money, you could take the moral high ground. Jillian Michaels on this podcast is making me so angry because she does not have a leg to stand on here. She's just trying to cover her ass as the PR nightmare backlash starts to hit her.
Numerous fitness professionals spoke out about the show, warning that it glorified extreme weight loss while fueling the belief that obesity is purely a matter of willpower, a mindset that can foster blame and disordered practices. Even the American Council on Exercise cautioned that it left viewers with distorted views and dangerous expectations. So by 2016, after 17 seasons, NBC quietly shelved The Biggest Loser. In 2020, they attempted a holistic reboot, but critics tore it apart. One journalist called it zombie-like and out of touch, while viewers lost interest. Everyone wanted to distance themselves from 2000s diet culture, as highlighted by Netflix's Fit for TV, which revealed the many failings of the show. Jillian Michaels was so shaken by it, she suggested she was considering legal action.
Against who? Herself? She was the one that helped perpetrate it.
All got a bit messy. But the main takeaway is that sustainable progress doesn't come from needless torture. It comes from building habits, designing systems, and finding motivation that actually lasts when the cameras are gone. That's why the show's collapse felt fitting. It sold the idea that suffering and willpower were enough. That shame-fueled exercise is the best approach to weight loss. But in the end, the only thing The Biggest Loser really lost was its credibility.
Good video. That was The Biggest Loser is Worse Than You Thought by Josh Brett. Thanks for watching.